Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation for Ashford. It's managing your online classroom using Microsoft Excel. And I'm presenting it. I'm Tony Sgarlatti. Here's my email address. And I'll also repeat it at the end. What we'll be talking about today is I will introduce you to the Microsoft Excel template that I use. I'll show how I populate the template with the students that are in the class. I'll show how to add nicknames and notes. If it's not clear how you might want to do that. I'll show how to track students who post. Most do post, some don't. And then we'll track the students that you post to. We'll show a week-by-week accounting of every student that is posted to, so you don't repeat weeks or post to one student in both discussions, for example. And then finally we'll wrap it up. So to begin, here's the Excel spreadsheet I use. I've got the two rows, the first two rows, frozen, so when you move the spreadsheet up and down, it stays in place. And likewise, I have column A frozen, so when you move it from left to right, it stays in the same place, the names. But what I'm going to do first is populate the spreadsheet with students from the class. So I'll go to my classroom. You'll click on Course Admin. From Course Admin, you click on Course Enrollment. Here are all the students' names. They're blurred out for privacy reasons. You'll move your cursor in front of name. You'll left-click your cursor, and then it'll blue highlight everything. You'll move your cursor all the way to the end, let go of the left mouse button, click the right mouse button anywhere within the blue, left-click Copy, and then go to your spreadsheet. Go down to where it says Class Roster. Click in the cell under Class Roster, right-click, and then Paste Special. From Paste Special, you want to click Unicode Text. This way, it'll post your students in each row, in each column. Okay, now that that's done, and the reason why you might want to keep the student email addresses is because let's say you need to contact their student advisor. You don't want to put the carbon copy student advisor in an email from the classroom because it says carbon copy instructor only. So you want to use your Microsoft email. Put the advisor's name in the to column and the student's name in the carbon copy column, so they're both aware of why you're contacting their advisor. Or let's say the classroom, something happens to the classroom and you want to contact all of your students. You can just copy all of their email addresses, put them, and then send them an email. So anyway, your name is also here, my name, so you want to delete that. You don't need your own name when you're populating your classroom. So you just click on the number next to your name, right-click it, and then delete, as I've done. Then to populate the names above, you just left-click the first name, go all the way to the bottom, right-click, and then copy. You'll go up, click on the blank cell under name, right-click again, and then go to Paste Options. And the first one looks good, so just left-click that. You'll see we have some extra rows that we don't need. This is made for a 35 student classroom. So just click on the first blank column, or the first blank row, left click with your mouse, then drag your mouse down to the last one, then right click and then delete. And now you've got the Excel spreadsheet set up with your students' names. Then we're going to minimize this and go back to our classroom. Stretch it out just a little bit. There we go. Now we'll go to week 1. Poster introduction. Now normally you'll have students with their introductions here, but this is a brand new classroom, and I'm just going to show you the theory and the details without necessarily getting into the specifics. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the first person that posts and you're going to put a 1. The 1 indicates they posted first, 2 second, 3 third, and so on and so forth. Normally the numbers would be randomized in this introduction column, but I'm just going to put them sequentially from top to bottom just for brevity. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so normally these will be randomized, but I've just got them sequential from 1 to 23. Sometimes a student won't have posted, so you just leave their number blank, and that's how you'll know who you might need to send an email reminder to that they haven't posted in the introduction, and you want to remind them that they're enrolled in your class because they're in the class roster, and if that's an error, they better contact their advisor immediately, or something to that effect. Okay, now we go to the discussions. So discussion 1. And again, nobody posted because it's a fresh class. But you're going to probably want to post to the first person that, or respond to the first person that posted. That's what I usually do in each of the weeks. So this person might have posted once or posted first in discussion 1. This person might have posted first in discussion 2. And then as the week progresses, I respond to my 6 people in each of the discussions. This might have been the second one I responded to. And the way I pick students to respond to, I usually pick the one that nobody else did, or I try and spread them out so that they look kind of evenly spaced throughout the week. This one might be 4, this one might be 5, and this one might be 6. So again, those could be randomized also. And then in week 2, this might be 2, this might be 3, this might be 4. And notice, I know who I've already responded to in week 1, so I'm not going to duplicate that in week 2. It's always going to be a different student. 5 and 6. So now that my week 1 is done, I go back to my spreadsheet and fill out week 2 with who I haven't responded to. Since I haven't responded to the first student in the second discussion, I put an X there. Since I haven't responded to the second student at all in week 1, I put 2 X's there. I put an X in discussion 1 for week 2 since I haven't responded to the next student in the first discussion, but I did in the second discussion, so I leave that blank. This student I haven't responded to in either discussion 1 or 2, so I put X's there. Here I need to respond to the student in week 1. or should say discussion 1 for week 2. I did in discussion 2 for week 1, so I leave that blank. I put an X here since the week 1 student responded in discussion 1, but I didn't put anything there since I already responded them in discussion 1. Here, the next student, I didn't respond in discussion 1 or 2 in week 1, so I put 2 X's here. 1 X here, 2 X's here, 1 X here, 1 X there, 2 X's here, 2 X's here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm going quickly. Anytime I didn't respond to a student, I've got 2 X's. Whenever I responded to a student once, I just put an X in the opposite discussion that I responded to them with. Okay, so notice here I didn't respond to the last 2 students at all. That's why they each have 2 X's. Here I responded to the student in week 1, discussion 1. So I don't put an X there because I responded to them the previous week, but I do put an X here, and I'll show you why. Now when we respond to the students in week 2, we look for everyone that has 2 X's. And those are the ones we're going to respond to first. So this person might be the first one I respond to. This one, and by the way, you erase the X next to the 1 or number. This one I might have responded to in week 2, discussion 2, so I put a 1 there, erase the X on the other end. This person might be the second one I responded to. This might be the third I responded to. This might be the fourth I responded to. And again, they're going to usually be randomized, not top to bottom. 5 here and 6 here. So we respond to 6 students in each of the discussions. So that was 1 there. This is 2. This is 3. Let's say this is 4. And let's say this student didn't respond at all. So I can't do anything. He didn't leave any posts, so I can't reply to him. So I'm going to leave those 2 X's there. But I don't have any other 2 X's. So now for week 2, I'm going to have to pick a single X. And notice it just mixes up the weeks that the students have posted. So I'll make maybe this one 5 and this one 6. So we do have students that receive replies in more than 1 week in a row, but that couldn't be helped. This is a relatively smaller classroom with 23 students. Sometimes there are as many as 35, and you don't run into this problem. Okay, so now that we've responded to all these students, the 6 students, we now fill out for week 3 on who we're going to respond to in week 3. The ones we responded to in week 2, we leave an X opposite the discussion that we responded to. Since we didn't respond to the first person in either discussion 1 or 2, we make 2 X's. We did respond in week 2, discussion 1 for the second person, so we're going to leave an X in discussion 2 since we responded to them in discussion 1. And then the next person we didn't respond to at all, so they get 2 X's. The next person we responded in discussion 1, so we leave an X in. We responded in discussion 2 in week 2, so we leave an X in discussion 1 for week 3. Here we didn't respond at all, we leave 2 X's. Here an X for discussion 1, here an X for discussion 2, 2 X's for the next one, 1 X, and I'm going quickly, but once you get the hang of it, it's real easy to fill these out. X here, 2 X's here, 2 X's here, 1 X here, 1 X here, 1 X here, 2 X's here, an X here, 2 X's here. Now, the one that didn't respond at all, didn't leave a post at all in discussion 1 or discussion 2, at least by the time I could have got to him, then I need to make 2 X's for each of those discussions. And then I didn't eliminate that, which I should have. And then I put an X here. Now to recap, when I respond to a student the previous week, I leave a single X on the next week in the discussion that I didn't respond to. So since this person I responded to as number 4 in week 2 discussion 2, I put in week 3 discussion 1 an X. This person I didn't respond to in week 1 or week 2, so I make 2 X's in the third week for both discussions, meaning that this student hasn't had a post for 2 weeks from me. And it may be because he or she didn't post. And then here again, I didn't respond to this person at all in week 2, discussion 1 or 2, so that's why they have an X in both discussion 1 and 2 for week 3, and so on. So now when we get to week 3, we know who we need to respond to. The first person we look to is the person with the most X's, this person. So we might respond to this person in discussion 2 as the first person, or we may pick someone else. This may be one. This may be one, and we may get to this person later, but as long as we get to him in the next week. Oops, that should have been 1. This one will be 2, and so on. So I'll fill the rest of these out. This might be 2 for week 3 discussion 1. This might be 3. This might be 4. This might be 5. And this might be 6. Notice when we fill it out, we eliminate the X in the opposite discussion because we know we've responded to them once this week, and then that will be useful for when we're filling out the following week to know who we haven't responded to previously. Okay, so we've responded to 2 people in week 3 discussion 2, and we're going to look to see who we haven't responded to for a week, and that would be this person. So they will be 3. They might be 4. They might be 5. And now what we run into is there's no more that we haven't responded to in the previous week. So we're going to have to pick someone that we've already responded to in the previous week, but we're going to pick the opposite discussion. It's kind of like a mix of discussions, mix it up a little bit. So let's say this person will be the 6th one we respond to. Even though we responded to them in the previous week in discussion 1, since there's no one else that we haven't responded to, we're going to respond to them again in week 3, this time discussion 2. Okay, so for week 4, we know how to fill it out. Oh, I should have eliminated that. Anytime you have a number, you eliminate the X next to it. Okay, now it's good. All right, now we're going to fill out week 4 the same way we did with the week 2 and week 3. This one gets an X, this one gets an X, this one gets an X, this one gets 2 X's, 1 X, 2 X's, 2 X's. This should have been eliminated. 1 X, 2 X's, 1 X. I missed some. This gets 1 X, this gets 2 X's, this gets 2 X's, 1 X, 1 X, 2 X's, 2 X's, 2 X's, 1 X, 2 X's, 1 X, 1 X, 2 X's. Okay. Oh, going back, let me say what you do to leave notes for a student. Let's say, for example, you want to leave a note for this first person. Maybe, or first of all, let's say their name is Robert, and you want to make a nickname of Bob. If in the introduction they say, "Hello, this is Bob," you want to use that nickname for when you're responding to them, either in the discussions or grading. You'll say, "Hello, Bob," even though their name is Robert. It kind of gives a little more personalization. If they say, "My name's Bob," and you say Robert, then it means there's a little bit of a disconnect. But also, if they say, "Hello, this is Robert," you'll want to use Robert and not make up your own abbreviations. One time I had a class where a student called another student by nickname, and he said, "My name is Robert." So you want to be careful about that. Nevertheless, you also might want to add some other information, like if they have authorized accommodations, you might want to put that in brackets also, like ACCOD for accommodations. So then when you're going through to see who might have posted late or not, or who hasn't posted a paper on time, if they've got an authorized accommodation, you can just look in one place, this Excel spreadsheet, and find out if they have an excuse for turning something in late or not. Okay, now for the note part of it, you want to, oops, let's see, I got to hit enter. Okay, and then if you've exceeded the space for that column, just put your cursor here. With the left mouse button, hold it down and just drag it over, and that makes the column wider. Okay, now we're going to discuss notes. So click on the cell you want to add a note to, click on Review, New Comment. Here's your note. Maybe this person's in the military. Maybe they have 3 kids, or let's say wife and 3 kids. Likes to play golf, or something, whatever you can use to connect with the person more in the following discussions. I'll let your imagination lead that. And where it says E, I didn't cover this column yet. That means extra. Let's say in week 1 discussion 2, you needed more information from the person that you replied to, the third person replied to. So you'll do the same thing here. New comment, requested additional information. Now it's glance visible with this little triangle in the corner. Who has additional details you might want to use for future discussions, or they may need to respond to you, and if they don't, then that's points off for not responding. And you can see your notes. Just look for the red corner, the red triangle in the corners, and just hold your cursor over it. and it shows up. Alright, so we're in week 4, and we just decide to respond to this person first, this person second. We're always going with the one with the 2 x's, 2 or greater x's. This one might have been the third one we responded to. Maybe this was the 4th. Maybe this was the 5th. And maybe this was the 6th. Now let's say maybe this person hadn't responded at all the whole weeks. So I had 2 x's here. No, I had 1 x here. 1 x here means I didn't respond to him in the first week. He had 2 x's here, meaning I hadn't responded to him in the second week. Maybe the person has 3 x's now because I hadn't responded to him or her in 3 weeks. And this can go on for 4 weeks even, that you hadn't responded to them. And part of our measurements that we responded to all the students within the 5 weeks. We've responded to at least one in the 5 weeks of the class. So you want to make sure you responded to everyone at least once. And as long as you responded to everyone in the introduction, that counts as responding to every student at least once. Sometimes you have a student that didn't leave an introduction, so you might just have to go back through the weeks and see which discussion they posted in and just make a post there. You might even just say something simple like, please make your posts on time for full credit, or something like that. That's what I had to do once because it was already in the 4th week and this one person hadn't posted by the time I did, because they'd usually post like on Monday after I'd already done all my posts, maybe at 10 o'clock at night or something. So then I just put a simple post in one of the earlier weeks, and then boom, the next week it showed that I had responded to 100% of students. But nevertheless, you may run into this, and you may have multiple students that haven't responded, or you might have a student that has 2 x's. The ones you respond to are the ones with the most x's. Hopefully first, but usually they're the last ones to respond anyway. But you just gotta, manage your classroom so that you respond to everyone. Try to anyway, equally. Okay, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, we got six in this week. Week 4 discussion 1. We're going to finish our 6 up here. Maybe this person did post, so this 1, 2, then 3. Oh yeah, I got to erase the opposite. Okay. Same here. Erase the opposites. Okay, so I got 3. I need some doubles. 4. 5. And again, I don't have a 6 that has a double or a triple. So I'm just going to pick a student and make this 6. So I've got my 6 for the week. Then the last week, this will be the last one I'll fill out. And by the way, if you have a 6-week class, if you're teaching a master's course, just copy the last columns and then just copy and paste the last columns to the next blank column, and then change week 5 to week 6. Okay, so filling out the last week 5, I've got an X here, 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 because I didn't respond to the top 3 people in 2 weeks. In 1 week. I didn't respond to them in last week, but I did the week before. That's why there were single X's for week 4. But week 5, since I didn't respond to them in week 4, the single X means I haven't responded to them for a week. But I did respond to this person in the first discussion for week 4, so I put a single X for week 5 discussion 2. The next person I didn't respond to in week 4, so I put 2 X's. And again an X in week 5 discussion 2 for that person, week 5 discussion 1 for these two, week 5 discussion 2 for this one, both discussion 1 and 2 for that one, discussion 2 for that one, discussion 1 for this one. I'm being a little redundant because I want to make sure you understand the concept, and I hope it's not too redundant or you're bored. Heavens, if you're bored. But here it's all filled out now. And then you know who to respond to. You respond to the one with the most X's to the least X's. And sometimes you'll have to respond to a person that you responded to the previous week, like this person who was number 2 for discussion 2. If I'm down to my 6th person I need to respond to, I might need to make this person my number 6, for example. Okay, well, that's the basic ins and out of the spreadsheet. I've discussed the notes. I've discussed what this E means, extra. And that pretty much well covers it. So I appreciate your attention at this presentation. I hope it was clear. If not, please feel free to contact me with any questions. You can reach me at tony.sgarlatti@faculty.ashford.edu. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week and hope to hear from you soon. Bye for now.